I mean, what do you even say at this point? Like the title says, what a joke. Miami Dolphins blow a 10-0 lead, get outscored by 16-0, and fall to 2-4. And we think Tua is going to come back and fix this mess? Yeah, right.
Touchdown! You have got to be kidding me.
Jaylen Waddle has a Dolphin touchdown.
And he will score! Field down the near side, that open, touchdown!
The run from Tua Tagovailoa.
Touchdown!
He's going deep. He's got it over the touchdown again.
Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan.
Let's go!
What's good, Fin Nation? What's good? I mean, I know what's good. Ain't not much. The Dolphins are 2-4 after just completely blowing this game. Just completely blowing this game. I mean, let's talk about this. Here's the situation at hand, ladies and gentlemen. The Dolphins sit at 2-4, but should they even be? If you would have got competent execution, discipline, and play calling at times, you would have beat the Titans and you would have handled your business today. Now, I've talked about this before with the Bills specifically. This team has zero luck against the Bills. They have zero ball luck. The football gods don't smile on us. We get no breaks, etc., etc. Today was self-inflicted. I mean, I was sitting there during the live reaction talking about how we're winning the turnover battle, and on cue, Mostert fumbles. And here's the situation here, okay? The first fumble, all right? You take it to your 45 and you fumble. You had great field position, right? We had fantastic field position. We started out that drive on our own 38. You fumble. First play in. Ingold, after again, we get good field position off a punt. Bears returns it for 9 yards. We're at the 45-yard line. We get it down to the Indianapolis 13. We look like we're going to score. You fumble the ball again in a tie game. Then you let them get the lead. 13-10. You storm right back with Tim Boyle at the helm. A field goal. First of all, 3rd and 1, again, this team cannot get a short yardage down to save their fucking life. Going right back to that fullback dive. Brother, a couple weeks ago, you ran the fake fullback dive and the toss on 2nd down like it was 3rd down, and it got shut down. That's where you run the fake fullback dive and the toss. And on top of that, brother, the fullback dive hasn't been working since it worked first few times. Defense have taken away. So not only is it not working, Ingold's just coming off a fumble. You're going to give it back? And here's the worst thing about it. Why do you refuse to give Jaylen Wright the football? What the fuck is going on right now? And sorry, I'm letting it on the line here. If you got kids listening, I apologize. But we're at that point now. No more Mr. Nice Guy right now. Jaylen Wright has an unbelievable strong drive, and you take it away from him. You say, we're good. You don't start giving him the ball till the second half to begin with. Like, what are you saying? On that Ingold fumble, you got Jaylen Wright, 9-yard gain. Next run, 27-yard gain. Then he gets 2 yards. Okay, then he gets shut down on 2nd and 8. 3rd and 8, Jonnu Smith, 12 yards. So 1st and 10, why are you not going back to Jaylen Wright, the guy who got you there? But instead, you give it to Alec Ingold, who fumbles. Like, and you're coming off a bye week, and this is the effort I see. Even worse than that, you're coming off a bye week, then you're coming off a halftime where you got a chance to make adjustments, and you do. That's it. That's what we saw. And don't even get me started on this guy continuing to waste timeouts. Poor timeout management in both halves. No timeouts left on the field for the final drive. So Tim Boyle has to spike it on 3rd down instead of us taking a timeout. So we got 2 plays to get 2 yards. Let alone Boyle. I don't know why you're targeting Malik Washington when you need 2 yards up the sideline. But clock ran down to 8 or 7 seconds because we had no timeouts. You got baited into a timeout on a last second personnel change by the Colts on 4th down, where they trotted out the field goal unit, then they try to back out the offense, and they force you to use a timeout. Shane Steichen outcoached Mike McDaniel in the second half. And what's crazy is Mike stuck with the run. Right? We had 40 rushing attempts. Here's your problem. Now we're getting into the issue of not knowing when to use which personnel. Jaylen Wright's averaging 6.6 yards per carry. Dicing them up on that drive. And what? Because he has a 2-yard gain and then a run that goes for nowhere, all of a sudden, let's stray away? What are you saying? It was 1st and 10 and you're calling a fullback dive. Did you think Ingold was going to run it from 13 yards out all the way in? Are you serious? Now, bad play call, but still, Ingold's got to hold on to the football. Mostert's got to hold on to the football. Reset and build a team like Detroit. What's crazy is go look at a lot of their picks. A lot of them are guys I wanted. Penei Sewell. There was no bigger bandwagon leader in this community than me for Penei Sewell. Never mind right tackle. One of the best in the NFL in terms of tackles. Sam Laporta. That was my man crush. I was pushing Sam Laporta hard. So hard. Defensively, I wanted Jack Campbell. Everyone knows this. Jack Campbell was my guy. And those are 3 key pieces. You want to do even better? Go look at the Chiefs. Go look at the Chiefs and their roster. All right? Because you know what you're going to see? People that have been watching me long enough know this. I was banging the table for Nick Bolton in his draft class. And then the next year is banging the table for Leo Chanel. Those guys have both won Super Bowls as the starting linebacker duo on the interior for the Chiefs. Leo Chanel went 1 pick after Channing Tindall. I mean, I don't know what to say at this point. Like, this is bad stuff. Time to clean house, says D. Hugga. And we think, and I'll get into that in a second here. But being outscored 60-0 after being up 10-0, like really? Like really? Against that team, Anthony Richardson threw for 129 yards. It's not like he ran roughshod. He had 14 carries for 56 yards. But what'd you do? You let Tyler Goodson score a touchdown and have a couple big runs against you. But I'm not going to hold the defense's feet to the flames by any stretch of the imagination here. Any stretch of the imagination. It wasn't their fault by any stretch. All right? It just wasn't. I mean, after we scored that touchdown and we forced that fumble on the next drive, man, you got to finish that. But what happens? Right? Remember the drive after the fumble. After we recovered the fumble and the Anthony Richardson fumble, Achane starts off with a 6-yard run. Tyreek Hill has the 5-yard run. Huntley hits Jonnu for 15 yards. We're moving the ball. Achane run to the left side, 15 yards. We're moving the ball. But what happens? 2nd and 9, illegal formation on Julian Hill. Sorry, on Austin Jackson. On a catch, Julian Hill should have caught. Let's be honest with ourselves. You know, now all of a sudden, and that gets declined, but now you're on 3rd and 9. And then what happens? 4th and 5, Julian Hill takes a false start. You force them to punt again. Mostert, second play of your next drive. Still 7-0. Goes all the way to the Indianapolis 32-yard line off a 32-yard run. Smythe called for holding. Now that puts us in 2nd and 8. We get out of it. Right? Mostert on 1st and 10 after we convert. 6-yard run, negated. Liam Eichenberg, 15-yard penalty, face mask. Second and 23, we even have a 5-yard run for Tyler Huntley. Another offside on Jonnu Smith, but it's declined this time. This offense is not built to have to dig itself out of these type of holes. This offense is not built for 3rd and 20, 3rd and 18 and 2nd and 23. It's just not. So many penalties. Again, a lack of execution, a lack of discipline, and poor play calling. Like, this is kind of we're getting to inexcusable levels right now. Thank God you beat the Patriots, but that just tells us how bad the Patriots are. Thank God Drake May wasn't starting, or they may have actually beat us. Let's be honest with ourselves. But this team under Mike McDaniel, and Julian Hill's out here taking penalties, having bad drops, and you're still not benching him and sending a message. Like, what are we doing here? Like, start showing some accountability. And start putting accountability on the players, too. But we want to have the country club feel. We want to be buddies with everyone. All this crap. Players let Mike down more than he let them down. I think they both let each other down. I think the players let us down with poor execution and discipline. And I think Mike let us down on those final. I think he let us down with poor clock management. He was wasting timeouts in the first half and in the second half. Even got baited into wasting a timeout. All of a sudden moving off Wright and when he's got you down there that far, and why are you fullback diving like you're at the 1-yard line with Ingold? Like, questionable play calling at time, questionable personnel usage at time, and poor clock management falls on Mike McDaniel. Execution falls on the players, and lack of discipline falls on the players and on Mike McDaniel. So I think they let each other down. If you want me to be honest with you. And are we really going to be naive enough to think that Tua is going to come in and fix this right now? There are deeper issues, deeper rooted issues at play here than Tua returning and just the quarterback being the issue right now. What's crazy is Mike McDaniel continued to show the growth with running the football, but at times he didn't even do that properly. Again, I refer to going back to Jaylen Wright. I haven't even got on him about why are you taking so long to get long to get Jaylen Wright involved in the game. People saying, "Oh well, Moser's healthy now." So Moser was healthy last game, and Wright had a career game. What does that matter? And now 2-4, we're expecting Tua. Hey, brother, you can't come off the IR with any rust. You can't. Because we can't afford that any further. We're 2-4 right now. Do you realize what that means? I want people to really think about this. Really think about this for a second. 2-4. Really think about this for a second. You go 7-4 when Tua returns. That's probably not going to be good enough 9-8 to get in the playoffs. You legitimately have to go like 8-2. Sorry, 7-3. I apologize. Because 7-3 would leave you at, played 6 games. So yeah, we have 11 left. So yeah, 7-4. 7-4 would not be good enough. That's the position you put yourself in, where you had a chance with this schedule to really go 4-2. But because we didn't get competent execution from the players, we didn't get competent discipline from the players, thanks to the players themselves and Mike McDaniel, and the play calling and personnel usage at times was very spotty. Here we are. That's it. You literally need to go 8-3. You need to go 8-3. You have a thin margin of, look at this schedule. You've got a thin margin of you can only afford 3 losses. That's the reality of where this team is at right now. They've been in must-win territory for 2 weeks, and they've come up 1-1. And they really should have came up 2-0. But now, you've got the Cardinals, you've got the Bills, then you've got the Rams, then you've got the Raiders, then you've got the Patriots with Drake May now, then you've got the Packers, then you got the Jets twice, Houston, San Francisco, and Cleveland. And Cleveland might figure it out now because they're forced to play without Deshaun Watson, so that might not even work out in our favor. You've got to go that stretch, and you can only afford 3 losses. Max. And I'm going to tell you right now, don't think they're going to blow this all up and clean house. They won't. I mean, you heard Omar up here. He thinks Greer's going to get another shot. because of the whole Tua injury. Now I think Greer should be gone. They're going to give McDaniel another shot. I can almost guarantee you that. If they do anything, it'll only be a half measure. They will not blow this thing up and start from ground zero. It will be a half measure. I can pretty much guarantee you that. I can pretty much guarantee you that. But it's naive to think this is going to get fixed with just Tua coming back. I wouldn't be shocked if this team goes 500 when this guy comes back. Or it goes 6-5. Sorry, because you can't go. We got 11 games left. We got a lot of games left, but this is the reality of where we're at. And what's crazy is, figure this. I want someone to explain this to me. Explain it to me like I'm 3. You are reluctant to give Jaylen Wright more opportunities when he's earning them with his play on the field the last 2 weeks. But you're going to keep giving Julian Hill all these opportunities when he either whiffs on his assignment or takes it. Yeah, sure, he's got nice blocks here and there, but the majority he either takes a penalty or he whiffs on his assignment. Either way, he's far more negatively impacted your offense than positively impacted your offense all year. You're going to keep giving him opportunities, but you got a guy like Jaylen Wright who continues to earn opportunities, and you can just say, Like, you want some real talk right there? Explain that shit to me. Explain that to me. Jaylen Wright keeps earning chance after chance, and you go away from him in critical moments today, and it costs you. But Julian Hill keeps getting chance after chance when all he does is net you negative yardage because he takes a penalty. And here's the thing. I'm going to say this. Jaylen Wright is your best option to get you 1 yard, not Alec Ingold. Look at how Jaylen Wright bounces off guys. Look at how Jaylen Wright fights for every yard. Jaylen Wright, with Ingold as your lead blocker, is your best, to Armstead's side, is your best chance to get that 1 yard. Whether you hit the B gap or you go off of Armstead's hip to the outside left edge. That's your best option. But screw Jaylen. Let's give more chances to Julian Hill. It's inexcusable. Like, I'm so bothered by this fact. I am so bothered by the fact that all Julian Hill does is negate plays with penalties and you continue to give him the chances. I don't get it. I don't get it. Jaylen Wright just keeps earning more opportunities and I don't know. I don't know who to explain this to. I really want someone to explain this to me. Please, for the love of everything holy. So explain it to me. Make that make sense to me. And again, who does that fall on? I know that falls on Mike McDaniel. It goes back to the personnel usage. I don't know. I mean, what do you say to that? And then, you know, Danny Crossman, what are we doing here? You now have more reason to fire him. Jason Sanders hitting the upright, special teams again, not coming through for us. You've got reason to fire you, buddy. You already had probable cause over the start of the season. You got even more probable cause now. We needed that. Not only did poor clock management in terms of wasting timeouts cost us at the end, but what also cost us is what? Not hitting that field goal. Because you would have had less pressure. If you look at how that final drive went, right? 3rd and 2, even if we didn't have the timeout, 3rd and 2, you spiked the ball at the Indy 33. If you would have hit that field goal, you would have had a 51-yard attempt to tie the game. And they jinxed it right before, Sanders walked out there. Oh, here comes the most accurate kicker in, Miami Dolphins history. I'm going to be honest with you, brother. Go ahead and give me Lindo Mare in the early days. Please. Please. Unreal. If Alec holds the ball, it's 2nd and 9 at the 14. If Alec holds onto the ball and we hit that field goal, let's say Alec holds onto the ball, but we settle for a field goal, and we hit that field goal from 54 with Sanders, then we're lining up for a game winner from the 33. Like, brother, you've got to send a message, and someone has got to answer for this stuff. Jaden Daniels went down today. Doesn't look good. Someone's got to answer for this. Looks like oblique. Someone's got to answer for this. And what? We're just going to sit here and let Greer basically say, well, Tua can save our season. And then what? If Tua doesn't save your season? Oh, well, the 4 games he was out. Now, I got an update that I don't know if I'm going to come tonight or tomorrow with it, but I got some info on the whole, Tua injury stuff. Science, we've gone over it with Barry Jackson's articles. The neurological science says that after 30 days, your brain returns to its normal baseline and you're good to go. I believe we're at day 38 right now. And if you had Tua, you probably win today. I just, I don't know what to say. This is just inexcusable. And let's talk about this now, because all of you weren't here for the live reaction stream. We got over 500 of you in the room. Smash that like button. Let's have this conversation. Is Tyreek Hill really the best receiver in football? Is Tyreek Hill really the best player in football? Did we have the wool pulled over our eyes? Did we? Did we? Did Tua make him the best receiver in football? Did Tua make him the best player in football? Because again, like I said during the live stream, I'll say it again. Justin Jefferson is out here. He's worked with how many backup quarterbacks when Cousins has gone down over the years, and he's still producing. Hell, Devontae Adams last year was catching touchdown passes from Aiden O'Connell. I mean, let's be real here again. Have the conversation. Keep it $150. Is Tyreek Hill anywhere near the number one receiver in the NFL right now? And because this is now, think about this. Brissett, Bridgewater, Skyler, Huntley, and Tim Boyle. We've had 5 backup quarterbacks have to play since Tyreek's been here in 2022. He hasn't caught a single touchdown from any of them. Today, again, almost damn near non-existent. 1 reception for 5 yards. Sorry, my bad. I apologize. 1 reception for 8 yards. I was looking at his 1 rush for 5 yards. Jaylen Waddle, 1 reception for 11 yards. Now, albeit when Boyle came in, he was actually looking for them and reading the defense and throwing towards them. So that could be a Huntley. I think it is a Huntley problem more than it is a Boyle problem. But again, I'm going to sit here and ask the question. If we started Tim Boyle today, would we have won the game? Again, same thing as I asked in the Seattle game with how Boyle looked in that drive in Seattle. Boyle continues to look like the best option to operate this offense without Tua involved. Because people are saying no the fumbles, but we could have got more points in the first half. So Tyreek Hill continues to, whether he's only produced with Mahomes or Tua. I mean, look at today. Huntley made a great throw up that left sideline. Tyreek Hill couldn't even locate it. But again, if you think about it, Tim Boyle looks like the best at operating our offense right now. And I can't believe I'm even saying that. But that is real. Like, I'm not even lying. I'm not even gassing y'all. Mike McDaniel, he was just live at the podium. So let's bring this up. Let's play this. Let's see what I got to hear what he had to say about this. I have to hear what he has to say about this. My Lord. What do you got to say about this? What's the excuse right now, Mike? What's it going to be? What's the excuse for Mike going to be right now? Let's see. Let's see what Mike says. What do you got for me, Mike? What's your excuse going to be today? Answer me that. Let's see what you got, Mike. All right. Swear I better.
Compounding. I think they were phenomenal all game. They've really looked at their role in an expansive way. So they've been trying to do whatever we can to win the football game. I think when you run the ball 40 times, it does minimize your opportunities. And then if you're trying to take advantage of a defense overplaying and doubling them and getting the ball to the tight end, then they have less ops. And I think that's always I always look at that as part of my job to find ways. Anyway, I think so that it was frustrating this game. Didn't anticipate some of the game shaping out that way. I have to find a way, specifically when they are doing their jobs at a high level. I think they were very involved in the run game in blocking, and they, contrary to popular belief, they do play every play, and they're one of 11 in terms of not just passes. So they're sometimes they're limited to requiring a lot of attention and emphasis from the defense, which gives other guys opportunities. But we have to take advantage of those opportunities, and I need to find ways to get them involved.
You're just really realizing that now.
I think every team goes with that objective because they know how good they are. I think that there's been games in the past that maybe they, as they reviewed the tape and where they're at in their careers, where they're trying to be great, they've acknowledged sometimes that they've minimized their involvement by, certain things that they can do in their game. However, this game, I didn't see that. There was, teams always do. So you have to continue to problem solve. Sometimes you think that you have solved the problem and you find out you haven't. So, I think that will always be the case with them, and that's so I can't look at it like, I have to keep them involved, and but they were very.
It's time to afraid of being weak and hold players accountable and give up the play calling, Mike.
Good thing. Absolutely. They were tough ones from, what is Raheem had 400 plus carries since he's been here with us, So that's what's tough about it is, he has his fourth fumble out of those 400 touches. The timing of it that was rough. I know, and then Alec Ingold is a captain because he's one of the best players, people, and really a playmaker for us a lot of times without the ball and with the ball. And I thought that was unfortunate in that situation because, I think there was an opportunity for him to not be strung out sideways and have the ball go. If we would have executed like I anticipated, it would have gone a different spot. But, it's also, it's a game of accountability, and, at the same time, they know they can't do that. And we, I had, some players from the team, they didn't know where my head was at. So they came and made sure that, that they were going to get an opportunity to that they all still believed in them, and which I already knew. So that's why they continue to get ops. But they can't do that. So, and then, just like game of accountability, like it doesn't matter if if there's good calls, it doesn't matter. Like collectively as a team, we just have to
Start benching people, Mike. Jesus Christ.
So
if I'm Durham Smythe and Jonathan
starts
Smith, I'm
with
looking
me.
at each other being like, why do you keep trotting
It's always
Julian
rough
out
for
there?
me when guys that are
Talk about accountability and you won't hold anyone
really
to
ball
it.
secure.
And
We
hold
have
yourselves
fumbles,
accountable too.
They get paid too, and things happen. But I
No,
think the
we
bigger
can't
thing
afford
is,
things happen, brother, when you got to win. Things happen, this guy.
I'm very frustrated because, you think you emphasize things correctly, and you think you have certain things fixed, and when they're not, it's not going to be anybody else's fault but me. Like I gotta. So I was wrong. I was definitely wrong.
Sounds like he's gonna
you have to
cry.
approach it that way, and
I'm not even
so
lying.
we have retooled stuff to clean up our game with the penalties and
No, you haven't.
it's still killing us. So,
And it's the same culprits, Mike. Take the personnel out, bro.
Which is
Austin Jackson, take him out throwing Kendall Lamb.
The second this press conference ends.
Julian Hill, take him out, put in Durham Smythe, who still took a penalty today, but still. Eichenberg. Put in Cotton for a couple reps. Send a message. Holy jeez.
Talking about guys on IR, I don't think is appropriate. Doesn't hit me right, so I'll be more than happy to address that tomorrow. But tonight, I'll try to keep it about guys tonight. No, I think you on the front end embrace player safety with your team. So if you are very open about, hey, this is a tool that if you're comfortable for your professional career and playing football,
bro, you don't got a long win this answer
and whatever. If absolutely, if you want to do that, we support it. So I do think that I think that's important to support it, but not get into the realm of
ball game. They need adults in the room. Reason I need to plug these cats. Got to get this dude on the line. He needs a real pep talk ASAP. They are soft.
But
this is abysmal.
That's why if anybody wants to wear thicker elbow pads or a thicker helmet, I have no problem with that. We support that. Do the same thing that I do for every player. I think you don't skirt information. So I force guys to have knowledge of what they would be turning down or what they would be doing, and I don't support any of that for all players, and with no exception to be Tua.
Oh, here you go. How did you think about how Tyler played today?
I don't have an update for he's a tough dude, so he coming off the field, he was trying to say he was going to be good.
Tell him, BX. Trade up for Eichenberg. He starts every game. You trade up for Wright, and he sits.
Professionals that are on a medical team, talk to him about the things that he'd have to do and put him through some strength testing and stuff. I think it wasn't. So I don't really know what the extent of it, but I know it was going to take a lot to keep him out. And then the other piece, I thought he did a good job with command. I thought he gave the offense a chance to win. I will have to look at the tape. There's a couple things that I thought were there that maybe we didn't execute. But it's
I can't wait to dive in on the tip. On the tape.
Place blame on any one individual.
Let's start with Julian Hill, bro. It's okay to play some. We're waiting for you
to win. That's all you can ask for. And I thought he made a couple plays that were important, both with his throws and with his feet. He's continuing his progression, which was good. All right, thanks.
I mean, this guy's up here talking about, I thought I fixed the stuff on special team. I thought I fixed the stuff in regards to, the penalties, blah, 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 blah. Brother, you know who the culprits are. It's the same guys every week. You want to really try and fix it, start sending some messages. I've been talking about this for 2 weeks now. You know who the culprits are. Start holding them accountable. What do you think people are seeing when they see a guy like Julian Hill continue to get these opportunities when all he does is negate big plays and cost you, while a guy like Jaylen Wright is running his life, leaving his body and his life on the field running for you, and you take opportunities away from him? Like, give me a break. Like, you've got answers in front of you, but you continue to be stubborn. And we continue to see the ego and the stubbornness leak through certain play calls, certain personnel usage, et cetera, et cetera. Like, come on, man. The fixes are right in front of your face. Unbelievable, man. Like, it's just unbelievable stuff. Jaylen Wright is a big reason you get into the red zone looking to score another touchdown. What do? You hand the ball off to Alec Ingold, and it bites you in the ass right away. Right away. Like, you've got the answer staring you down in the face. Jaylen Wright has a 9-yard run, a 27-yard run, then a 2-yard run. What? Because his fourth run of the drive didn't gain anything. You know, you go away from him on 1st and 10 after Boyle converts to Jonnu. What are you talking about? Like, what in the world are you talking about? And then after Ingold fumbles, 3rd and 1 at the 36, after you've decided to go back to Mostert on the drive, instead of giving it to your best short yardage option in Jaylen Wright right now, who's got a hot hand, you go back to Ingold, who just fumbled. He gets stuffed, and Sanders misses a field goal. And instead of our final drive where we turned the ball over on downs and got it down to the Indianapolis 33, instead of that being a spike on 3rd down to lead to a game-tying field goal, Tim Boyle takes a shot up the right sideline to Malik Washington, incomplete, game over. And the fact you started off 10-0, all right? You start off 10-0. Hell, when it was 7-0, right after you scored your touchdown, you get a fumble. You force a fumble, and you can't put together a drive to finish it off and add on top of that. And then the next time you get the ball, you just shoot yourself in the foot and end up getting yourself into a 2nd and 23 situation because of a 15-yard penalty on Eichenberg. You already dug yourself out of a hold on Smythe and got the 1st down. This offense is not built to dig themselves out of continuous long down situations. And now we expect Tua is going to come back and fix everything. That's where we're at. In what world? So this is from Perkins. Top takeaways from today's loss. And this is what he's saying. This is what he saw. So The Miami Dolphins had a chance to get to 500 with a victory at Indianapolis on Sunday. A chance to have some momentum for quarterback Tua Tagovailoa's expected return this week. The opportunity didn't go well as the Dolphins lost 16-10. The Dolphins fell to 2-4 on the season, and their offense appeared lost even before Tyler Huntley went out with an injured right shoulder. At least Tagovailoa is expected back soon, but he'll have to work miracles. The Dolphins are struggling in many ways. Tyreek and Waddle are quiet. Wide receivers Tyreek Hill and Jaylen Waddle were quiet during the first half Sunday. Neither was targeted on a pass play. Hill, who had no targets in a half for the first time with the Dolphins, had one touch in the first half, and that was a 5-yard gain on a jet sweep. Hill was targeted deep in the third quarter on a 3rd and 2 from the 50-yard line, but the pass was incomplete as it appeared Hill couldn't locate what was a decent throw. Perkins says the offense is a mess. HN wore Guardian cap today. So Tagovailoa has been on injured reserve due to concussion. Is scheduled to return. Could play next week against Arizona. It's not known whether he'll wear a Guardian cap. The tight end drought at touchdowns ends is a good sign for an offense. Jonnu Smith's 10-yard first quarter touchdown reception ended a 23-game tight end touchdown drought dating to the Buffalo wildcard loss at the end of the 2022 season. That was Gesicki. Like I said on the Friday show, the last tight end on this roster as a Dolphin to score a touchdown was Smythe last November, 2 Novembers ago. This was good to see on a few levels, but especially because Smith, who was huge, 7 receptions, 96 yards, didn't see the field when the Dolphins had a 1st and goal from the Seattle 6-yard line earlier this season. Utilizing Smith in such a situation on Sunday was a sign of offensive awareness and growth for the Dolphins. But tight ends are still struggling. Overall, it's been a rough year for the Dolphins tight ends. Jerome Smythe has apparently lost his starting job to Hill, the most penalized player on the team. Smith has had his share of penalties, although his production in the past game has picked up the last 2 games. And Tanner Connor has issues on special teams at times. Hill missed a block in the 3rd quarter that led to a sack by Leatu Latu. There's signs of life with Smith's recent resurgence, but the Dolphins tight ends are off to a slow start. Penalties resurfaced early. The Dolphins entered Sunday's game tied for 8th in penalties at 43, tied for 4th in penalty yards, but they were number 1 in penalties per game. They're averaging 8.6 penalties per game. They lived down to that expectation in the first half alone by recording 5 penalties for 45 yards. They corrected things in the second half. It should be noted the Dolphins ended with 6 penalties for 50 yards. But in a 13-play stretch in the second quarter, the Dolphins were flagged 4 times. 3 of the penalties were accepted. Tight end Julian Hill was flagged for a false start on a punt, his 8th accepted penalty of the season. Then a 31-yard by Raheem Mostert was brought back due to a holding penalty by Durham Smythe. Later, a face mask by guard Liam Eichenberg wiped out a 6-yard gain from Mostert. And 2 plays after that, tight end Jonnu Smith lined up offside, but that was declined. OBJ was 0 for 2 today. Wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. was targeted twice in the first half, did not have a completion. Beckham had a drop on the first target, a 3rd and 18-yard pass from the Dolphins' 30-yard line, and a pass breakup on the second target, which came in the red zone on 3rd and 4 from the Colts' 15-yard line. Beckham is playing in just his 2nd game after spending the first 4 on the physically unable to perform list. He was listed with a hamstring injury. The game plan for Huntley before the injury. Mostly the Dolphins ran the ball to keep things easy on Huntley. The Dolphins had 25 carries for 115 yards in the first half, but tragedy struck in the 3rd quarter when Huntley injured his right shoulder while throwing a ball out of bounds to evade a pass rush. Huntley had a designed run in the 2nd quarter on his 2nd and 8 from the Dolphins' 29-yard line, and he gained 6 yards to set up a 3rd and 2. He then scrambled for the first down on a 3-yard gain, but mostly the Dolphins kept the ball on the ground with handoffs and out of Huntley's hands as he made his 3rd start. Run game giveth, and then it taketh away. The run game, which had 115 yards in the first half, was a key to success in their undoing. Dolphins ended up with rushing 40 times for 188 yards, but they were mostly harmless yards as the Dolphins didn't have a rushing touchdown and weren't effective running in the red zone. 3rd quarter fumbles by Raheem Mostert and Alec Ingold killed drives. The Colts turned the Mostert fumble into a touchdown that tied the game at 10. The Ingold fumble came at the Colts' 15-yard line, wiping out certain points that could have broken the 10-10 tie. The Dolphins had an impressive 41-carry, 193-yard effort in their 15-10 win over New England. Pressure was non-existent on Anthony Richardson today. Dolphins pass rush hardly put any pressure on Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson. The Dolphins ended with no sacks. The rookie edge rushers draftees Chop Robinson, the 1st-round pick, Mo Kamara, fifth-round pick who made his debut, had to handle bigger roles. They were largely silent. The Dolphins were without edge rusher Emmanuel Ogbah. They're also without edge rusher Jaylen Phillips, and Bradley Chubb still hasn't made his season debut. Sure, the Dolphins had Quentin Bell and Tyus Bowser, but neither played a major role for the team last season or even in training camp. The Dolphins entered the game with 9 sacks, tied for 4th fewest in the league. The pass rush did not surprise anyone. Run defense struggles again. The Colts rushed for 155 yards on 37 carries, meaning the Dolphins have allowed all 6 opponents at least 100 yards rushing. The difference this time was the Colts didn't have that one big explosive run that many of the Dolphins' other opponents had. This was mostly an old-fashioned, grinded-out rushing attack that took time off the clock and wore down the Dolphins' front 7. Calais Campbell and Zach Sealer were active. Campbell had 5 tackles. Sealer had 4. Colts out with the Dolphins today. The Dolphins used a fourth-quarter timeout when they thought the Colts were going for it on 4th and goal from the Dolphins' 4-yard line. Indianapolis had Anthony Richardson on the field, but the tip-off should have been that the Colts also had kicker Matt Gay and punter holder Rigoberto Sanchez and long snapper Luke Rhodes lined up as wide receivers. Nonetheless, the fake-out worked as the Dolphins burned a timeout before Gay's 22-yard field goal that gave the Colts a 13-10 lead. So Shane Steichen, like I said, out-coached McDaniel in the second half. Dolphins could have used that timeout on the final possession in which quarterback Tim Boyle futility raced the clock. Special teams was spotty again. Kicker Jason Sanders banged a 54-yard attempt off the left upright in the 4th quarter. Snap executed by 39-year-old long snapper Matt Overton, who was signed Saturday after Ferguson was placed on the reserve non-injury football list, was a bit high, but Sanders, who made a 33-yard field goal earlier, should have made the kick. Special teams were leaky once again Sunday. Julian Hill was called for a first false start on a punt. Duke Riley, who might have been responsible for the block punt against New England, was switched on the punt return as well. You know, like I said, you've got grounds to fire Danny Crossman, but they just won't for some reason. Calais Campbell was the fountain of the youth and is still flowing. With his opening play, quick move inside to beat Colts Dalton Tucker and a takedown of the running back Trey Sermon for a 2-yard loss, and then tackle of Tyler Goodson for -1 yard at the tail end of the first quarter. The 38-year-old UM legend and longtime NFL standout enters Week 8 against the Cardinals on pace for 17 tackles for a loss, which would be second most of his career, exceeded only by his incredible 20 while he's with the Jags in 2018. The Dolphins' rushing attack could hit a streak not seen in almost 24 years. With 188 rushing yards, the Dolphins with a game with at least 155 yards next week could have a 3-game streak, at least 155 yards for the first time since the magical 2002 season of Ricky Williams when he ran for 1,853 yards. That year, the Dolphins had 3 consecutive games where Ricky and company decimated run defense for at least 222 yards. He ran for 222, 270, and 248 from November 24th to December 9th. Man, Ricky was special. Dolphins' sluggish scoring skid gets extended to almost unprecedented length. That was the 9th consecutive game where the Dolphins didn't score more than 20 points. Last time the Dolphins had such a skid was December 3rd, 1967. You read that correctly, almost 57 years ago. The slow start with takeaways is concerning and it's become a McDaniel era trend. So, I mean, you look at this, the Colts gave the Dolphins a takeaway when Anthony Richardson mishandled a snap. Even with that gift, though, the Dolphins will head into the 7th game with a mere 5 takeaways. The rate of 0.833 takeaways per game, if continued over the full regular season, would barely finish second to the record for the worst rate in Miami Dolphins history. The worst rate ever by the franchise in 2022, Mike McDaniel's first year as coach. Miami forced 14 turnovers in 17 games, which is 0.824. The most turnovers per game in the regular season were the 3.31 per game of the first 16-game season when the Dolphins had 53 takeaways. When including a postseason, the perfect team of 72 had 56 after a torrential 10 in their 3 playoff games for a rate of 3.29 per contest. The greatest rate when including playoffs came another Super Bowl season 82, albeit after a regular season cut down to 9 games because of a strike. In the 13 total games, Kim Camper and the Killer Bees secured the possession of the ball 44 times, including an incredible 17 in the 4 preseason games for a total of 3.38 per game. Heading into next week, with the McDaniel Dolphins have 46 and 40 games for a brutally spar 1.15 per game. What version of Tagovailoa will the Dolphins get when he returns? Twice before has Tua Tagovailoa made a start in October, coming off multiple injuries, multiple games sidelined by the injury, and the results have been tepid. In 2021 in London against the Jaguars, coming off a rib fracture that held him out 3 games, Tua had a decent 95.1 passer rating, but he missed a wide-open Jaylen Waddle for a likely touchdown pass that would have put the Jags behind the 8 ball. Jacksonville rallied to win that game 23-20 for one of the 3 victories that season. Then the next year, Tagovailoa returned for a Sunday night game at Hard Rock against the Steelers. Steelers had 5 passes hit their hands, but instead of interceptions, each ball fell to the grass. Now on the positive side, the Dolphins quarterback made his first career road start against the Cardinals in 2020, had one of the best games of his career, leading the offense to 27 points and piling up a 122.3 pass rating in a 34-31 win. But it was also accompanied by 35 rush yards, the second most in a game of his career. What happened to the K-ball after week 2 in the NFL is a wild one. In the first 2 weeks of the NFL season, kickers were a flat-out incredible 35 for 39 from 50 yards or longer. But in the next 4 weeks, they were 42 of 64 entering Bills-Jets. How did Sanders fit regarding these splits? He was 1 for 1 from long range in the first 2 weeks, and he's 2 for 3 from weeks 3 to 5. The risk reward on Alec Ingold touching the ball is pretty poor right now. With that third quarter fumble, Alec Ingold has 2 in his past 8 touches. Raheem Mostert lost a chunk of yardage to penalties. Dolphins running back had a 32-yard jaunt and a 6-yard run, each called back. The first was negated by a hold on Smythe. The latter came off a face mask on Eichenberg. And on deck is the Cardinals this Sunday at 1 p.m. So there you go. Dolphins have one more game coming up this week to really show us something, because right now it don't look good. I mean, this was supposed to be the stretch of the schedule where you were supposed to make up a lot of space and a lot in that W column, and you haven't. So I don't know. It is what it is at this stage. It is what it is. You know, I mean, what do you say at this point? How can you sit up here and, you know, there's not a lot to take away in the sense of being hopeful right now for this season. They're you know, like when you go to your backup quarterback, you're supposed to simplify the game plan, and then the personnel themselves are supposed to be, you know, you're supposed to be disciplined and execute, because you got to make life as easy as possible on the backup quarterback in this offense in that situation, and they just aren't. I don't know what else to say. They just aren't. They continue to shoot themselves in the foot. It's downright pathetic that Tyreek Hill and Waddle can't be involved. I mean, this was, you know, I get the game plan coming out of the bye running the football, but you had no real plan to get your best playmakers involved. Like, that's downright inexcusable. And again, Jaylen Wright gets you deep into that red zone, and you go to Ingold on a dive. Then 3rd and 1. After that, now 3rd and 1. You don't give the ball to Jaylen Wright. You give it back to Ingold, and he gets stuffed on that fullback dive that defenses figured out a couple weeks ago. Like, here's the thing with McDaniel in the run game. You see the growth in terms of him running the ball 40 times and continue sticking with the run, but you still see him finding a way to screw that up with personnel usage. Like, you know, like he still, even when he takes a step forward with growth, he still finds a way to take another step backwards. And brother, this guy comes up here and talks about, you know, I thought I'd fix the penalty issue. And brother, it's the same culprits. Start sending a message. Undisciplined, turnovers, Poor showing out of the bye by the offense. What else can you say? So I'll be back tomorrow. We'll dive into the PFF grades and dive more into this loss and recap it. Until then, you already know what time it is, man. Fins up, even in these down times. And appreciate all of you who donated. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you are new. Man, it just continues to get rougher.